Welcome back to the Unarmored Talk podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Mario P. Fields. If this is your first time watching or listening to the show, welcome. And if you have been with me for over 5,000 years, no, I'm just joking, 5 years, thank you for being loyal fans. Continue to share, like, and subscribe. And also, if you want to help me raise those charitable funds for Still Serving Incorporated, my nonprofit, get on my YouTube channel, become a member for like $2.99 a month. Your contributions will go directly to the schools that our organization supports in Pitt County, North Carolina since 2018. Well, all that admin stuff is done. Happy belated Veterans Day for all you veterans out there. Thanks for your service. And we have a veteran. I have a veteran on the show that I'm going to host today. His name is Gregory Archbold. He is a United States Army veteran. I'm not going to hold it against him. But he's a keynote speaker, leadership strategist. He's also been a TEDx speaker as well. He does leadership development, management, and more. But let me tell you guys what's real awesome about Gregory from the time I had a chance to meet him. He genuinely cares about making a positive impact on people. You can't go to the University of Care. It's either in your DNA or not. And it's a choice. And he has made those choices to make a difference in young folks' lives, especially minorities and low income communities and more. Gregory, welcome to the Unarmored Talk podcast, my man.
Mario or Sergeant Major. I don't know. I feel like I should jump up and be like, parade. Don't make me finish. Uh, but but no, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad that we got a chance to connect, and I love what you're doing. I love the no scripted stuff. It's just two folks having a conversation and being able to maybe share some things with some people, and hopefully
Yeah.
those people will take something away from what we have to share.
Amen. Amen. Hey, I'm surprised you didn't make the get off my grass joke. You know, that's the
I tell you what, I was enlisted, so I still have the knife hand to get off my grass. I can still kick it out.
well, hey man, thanks for your service. And if you could do me a favor before we jump right into the meat and potatoes, metaphorically, of the topic, can you tell everyone just a little bit about who Gregory is, man?
I served in the Army for 33 years.
Wow.
The first half of my career I spent as a medical guy. So for our civilians, I did EMT kind of stuff, and then I had some good leadership who suggested that I go to officer candidate school and transition into the officer corps. And then I became a military police officer, which I loved. I spent time all over the globe, and then I recently retired in 23. I went to work in corporate America for a little while, and then I decided that I was going to lay all my energy, I got a whole lot of it, on myself to to try to change some lives in something that's near and dear to my heart, which is leadership.
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing career from enlisted officers. By the way, for all the the unarmored talk listeners and viewers who have never served, that's not an easy thing. That's not an easy transition to go from enlisted in any branch of service and then convert, to get. It's not automatic, but to apply and to earn the commission. So thank you, and I salute you, my friend. In 33 years, that's a long time. I did 26, so 33 seems like eternity. But when it's a passion, and you guys see Gregory, if you're listening, get on the YouTube channel and watch. You can tell he's genuine. So let's get right into it. I believe currently there are a lot of people who work for someone who may not have the leadership behaviors that are fun to be up under. Sometimes people say toxic. And from my basic understanding, Gregory, at one point in your journey, you, as a civilian, as a veteran, not even on active duty, you were working for a manager that was just tough. Let's talk about it. Give me a little bit, man. How was it?
It was a challenge. I will say, I think what happens is, I can't guess what was going on in their heads, but I know how they were leading, and part of me doesn't he may not have known any better. Why? Because most people learn leadership based on what they see.
Right.
So if you are in an environment, because most companies don't have formal leadership training, they take a good employee and then they say, go with God, young man, you are now, or woman, go with them and you are now in charge.
Right.
And for me, how I handle that is I normally do I normally do two things. One, I overly communicate because a lot of micromanagers, oh well, you didn't tell me this, you didn't tell me that. So I over communicate everything that I do, almost to the point where it becomes annoying. And then usually they'll say, okay, Greg's doing some things here. The other thing that I try to do in dealing with them is making sure, because my team can see what it is
Mm.
that's going on. So I try to bring them in and say, hey, I cannot control what my boss is doing, but what I can control, which is in my span, is how I respond to it and
Hmm.
how I educate my team on it, because I don't want them to become that leader. I want them to see how I respond to some of the negative aspects that I'm receiving. And I bring them in, and many of them will be like, did you see what, blah, blah? I have a rule. Everyone is allowed 30 seconds. So you
Right.
can give your 30 seconds to complain, and then it's time to execute. I don't have to like his or her plan, but I have to be able to mold it in a way, and not be the person that says, well, we're doing this because Mario said so. No, we're doing it
Right.
because any good leader doesn't say, well, the boss says we have to do it, that's why we're doing it. No, that's not how you handle business, even if you don't like it. So for
Yeah.
me, I like to bring my team in and say, hey, I understand we've got some difficulties, but this is how we're going to handle it. And this is how we're going to stay close as a team.
Greg, and I love how you mentioned how even though there were things about your boss that you didn't agree with and your team could see it, how, like you said, when you brought the team in, you didn't badmouth the boss. You were like, okay. And I like how you kind of took ownership, where it's like, this is okay, this is not, we're going to do this because the boss said we're going to do this. Or, hey guys, bring it in. Man, he or she is tough to work for. I love how you did that. I believe a lot of folks kind of emotionally don't don't think about that and don't have that discipline. What do you believe gave you that soft skill, man? Well, how do you believe you got there? I don't think you were born with it. So what do you think that got you to the point where you're not emotionally reacting, but you're thinking through it and then you're responding for the benefit of your team as well?
Well, I had a great boss, and I'll mention his name.
Yeah.
His name is Brett Ackerman. He is a emergency medicine physician. One
Mm.
time, I was fired up, and I was kind of yelling in my young early sergeant days, and he always told me, and he's a doctor, so his analogy was medical. He said, "I need you to take your pulse before you can take anybody else's. Right?
Mm.
Remove emotion from any decision that you have to make." And that stuck with me forever. So I said, even though I may have been emotionally charged by some of the things that I had to do, I had to remember my team is going to see how I respond. So I have to
Mm.
take emotion out of the equation and then make an informed decision. So for me, that started, with good leaders doing that to me. And Doc Ackerman, if you see this, shout out, sir. It was a good time for me to just take that in and do that.
Gregory, I'm still working on that. So that, hey Doc, shout out to Doc, man. And pause, like you said, let those emotions process, pause, think through them, and then how you keep referring back to, I as the leader, right, in the management position, leading, a team of folks, I have to be aware of my biases, be aware of myself, have high self-awareness, and think about how my actions will impact the folks I'm leading. And that's powerful. That's powerful. That's a decision. And did you ever have a moment where one of the folks on your team looked at you and said, "How are you doing it? How are you staying so calm when you're dealing with this whatever idiot or whatever they may say about the toxic person, if you will?"
Well, I always come back to the same phrase.
Yeah.
I can't control them. I can
Yeah.
only control me. And my responsibility is to support him, not to be him.
Mm.
And that's it. So my job is to
Ooh.
show, number one, to produce results, and also to show you what right looks like. Because again, I go back to my my favorite phrase is that we people learn leadership based on what they see. So if they see me being all upset and bad mouthing the boss and all these
Yeah.
things, when it's their time to rise up through the ranks, they're going to think that that's normal. And now that I have children who are in the workforce, do I want them to have that kind of boss? And my answer is no. So I think it's important for leaders to remember that you are the pulse of your organization,
Mm.
regardless of if the CEO or your direct supervisor is not the greatest person to work for. You're never going to control them. You're not going to control them. What you can control is what we would say in the military, what's in your span of control. You
Mm.
know, I can't control in another company. I can't control in another section. What I can control are the people who report to me. And this is how we are going to deal with controversy.
Yeah, and from what I understand, listening to you, which is powerful, I hope you guys get this. Everyone who's listening or watching is, and I wish I'd have had you like years ago. This would have really helped me, man. I probably would have saved some of my hair. Is mission focus, not human focus, when it comes to a manager that may have been taught some behaviors that are very toxic or ineffective. But how can I best support this person above me that supports the mission of the company? Not the emotional part of how can I try to change or try to understand why is this person behaving this way? And that's critical. That's critical. I mean, I'm thinking back on some of the previous. I had some people, man. I just wanted to quit. I was like, get the hell away from me. But if I would have had that mindset to go, okay, let's get out of his or her human behavior. What can I do to support them that supports the mission? And that's powerful. And that's powerful. When you develop that mindset, what did you experience when it comes to effectiveness, maybe the increased efficiency of the company, or just morale in general? What did you see, or what feedback did you get when you did that when you apply that mindset?
As far as receiving feedback, I think one of the things is um, when you have a good leader
Yeah.
or if you have a bad leader, here's the secret, and I'll share this with just you and the thousands of viewers you have. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows. Everyone knows that you
Cheers,
have
ain't a
a
secret.
bad leader. Yeah, everyone knows you have a bad
That is
leader.
true.
Everyone
That
knows that you have a good leader. It's
that is true.
not a secret. It's how you respond
That is
when
so true.
other people are coming up to me saying, "Hey, how's it going? With so and so."
Yeah.
I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the bait.
Right.
And it wasn't until after I left the organization that I heard from a lot of people,
Mm.
or during my 2 weeks right before I left, that people started to say, I don't know how you stayed as long as you did.
Yeah.
Because I was responsible not for his actions. I was responsible for training the people that I was responsible for. And that was my main goal. All the other stuff I'm getting, I'm going to take that. I'm going to shield my people from the things that I can shield from them. And then I'm going to be the leader that they see. And because again, I go back to it, people learn leadership based on what they see.
Yeah.
And if they see me, rah, 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 go back to Doc Ackerman's phrase, remove emotion from the equation and make a decision.
You know, and I love how you reference Doc Ackerman because you you had you had a choice to take wisdom and feedback and then make a mindset change. And look what happened. Where some of the folks, even the person that you worked under, they had a choice not to emulate what they had seen. They had a choice to receive some feedback, and they chose not to. Just my belief. And I love how you have developed because you made a choice to receive some feedback. It may have hurt at the time, whatever, but you made a choice to change, and that's powerful. If let's just say Doc never gave you feedback, or Doc gave you feedback and you were rigid. You were like, I don't want to hear this. I am who I am. How do you believe that would have affected you when you actually worked under this manager?
Oh wow! I probably would not have lasted as long as I did. I probably, uh, when you're a young NCO, you think the only tool in your tool bag of leadership is the knife hand and a loud voice.
Yeah.
That because that you see a lot of that going through, and I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is that I don't know if I would have had the maturity to say, okay, this guy and I we may not go hang out and play golf, or we may not go out and have coffee outside of the office, and that's okay. But what I am here to do is I'm here to produce results. He is the boss. I'm going to listen to him, and I'm going to take the feedback, and I'm going to move on. But I don't think, had I not had heard what Doc told me and had years to practice it, and I'm not saying that I always came out on top, because there were times when I did lose my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I always tell people I am a work in progress. So I'm not going to necessarily be perfect, but I did go through that process. Some days I handled it better. Now I'm a lot better at it than I used to be.
Gregory, I appreciate you coming on the show and removing your armor to help other folks. I mean, everyone, I mean, you guys heard it. Feedback is out of love. Doc loved
Absolutely.
and saw the potential in Gregory. A critic, Doc didn't give him criticism. He gave him feedback, and they're fundamentally different. And look at Gregory today. He's still developing, still learning. I mean, he's 22 years old, but he did 33 years. So you guys do the math. But you guys know I got some humor. I'm going to put in the show. Looking, but Gregory, lots of wise tips, even for myself. But now looking back, if you could stand next to yourself about 20, 30 years ago, what advice would you give yourself if you could today?
For me, it's real easy. I don't even have to think about this. Read more and talk less.
Mm,
I was not a big reader
mm,
growing up, or even in my adult life. But I learned that one of the smartest people that I know is my lovely wife, Kathy. She reads, and we do Jeopardy at nights, and she kills me every time. Why? Because, oh, I read. I said, how do you know that? She says, oh, I read. So for me, I think I could have been a better leader and just a better learner if
mhm.
I read, dedicated time and read more. So I would tell young people or old people alike, take time to find. People say, well, I don't know what to read. You know what you like, find a book on that and start there. If you want to do something, you want to be a better leader, I find a leadership book, which mine will be coming out in February. Find something that interests you and read, because if you read, you're getting knowledge from people who have done what you were trying to do.
Yeah, that is cool. And I would love if you're open to it. I'm gonna do a live invitation. I would love to host you again when you do your book launch to get that out there if you're open to it. I mean, you don't need to make a decision on the show, but I would love to host you. I'd be honored, Gregory.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
would. All right,
Absolutely.
I'll plug you in. Well, you guys heard it. Read more, talk less, and I'm guilty of that. And so I'm going to take that tip from Gregory myself and continue to read more and definitely talk less to learn more. All right, to become a better version of me for others around me. Gregory, it has been a pleasure to host you on the show, my friend. I will again. I look forward to the Feb or so episode, and good luck on the launch of your book. I can't wait to read it. But everyone, until next time. Oh, before I let everyone go, Gregory, how can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at gregoryarchbold.com is my website, or just Gregory Archbold on LinkedIn. And please reach out, and I will always get back to you.
You guys heard it, gregoryarchibald.com or on LinkedIn. I'll make sure those links are in the show notes. But until next time, I will continue to intentionally pray for the listeners and viewers, you all, and your families, friends, and all living things around you. Take care, Gregory.
All right, take care now.